Hi, I'm going to show you how to overclock your laptop's graphics card. Um, First things first, this is no different from overclocking a desktop graphics card. There's no special thing you have to do. The only thing you have to keep in mind is that laptops are generally run at higher temperatures because obviously all the components are all squished together in this tiny little frame compared to a desktop computer that's in a large case. So what you want to keep in mind is the temperature. I'm going to link in the description a good temperature monitor, and what you want to make sure you look out for is obviously the CPU temperature, but also the no, obviously the GPU temperature, but also the CPU temperature, because most of the time both the CPU and GPU and laptops are linked together through the same heat pipe, and so thusly one of them shares the same heat as the other as it passes through the computer. So for example, um, the CPU could be sharing the same heat as the GPU as it passes through the laptop and gets blown out. So some of the heat from the GPU may affect the temperature of the CPU as it passes through the heat pipe along the top of the both the units, processing units. So keep that in mind. Both matter in laptop overclocking. So a good CPU temperature. I'm going to give you some guidelines on what your temperature should be. It depends on whether you've got an AMD or Intel CPU. So Intel CPUs I know can reach a maximum of 100 degrees Celsius, but that's obviously not optimal. That's like before the computer shuts itself down. A safe Intel CPU temperature is 85 and below. 85 is pushing it. Between well, that's while gaming or doing video editing while it's actually being used. Obviously, idle doesn't count, but you just want to make sure it doesn't go over 85 degrees Celsius. For an AMD CPU, I believe it's much lower. I think you might have to research this yourself, but I think a safe CPU temperature for an AMD processor on max load is like 60 to 65. I'm not too sure about the with the GPUs, both the same. I think for AMD and Nvidia cards, I think safe GPUs can typically run a little bit hotter and be safe. A safe GPU temp, I'd say again up to 85 degrees. But the GPU generally doesn't get as hot as the CPU anyway. At least with Intel CPUs. My CPU runs at between 65 and 70 degrees Celsius. It's absolutely perfectly fine. So AMD GPUs I think exactly the same. Again, they max 100, but obviously that's pushing it. Anything under 85 is fine. So anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna link you a temperature monitor program, a very good one that you can monitor your temperatures while doing the overclocking. Okay, so let's get started. So the best overclocking software I found is MSI Afterburner. I will link that program in the description. You can go through the downloading process. Make sure to download MSI Combustor. It's an add-on, and what that does is use it to well, I'll show you. Okay, so let's open up MSI Afterburner. I've already got it up here. So this is the interface. You got all your temperatures and usage and all that sort of stuff. Right now, mine's overclocked. I'm using an NVIDIA card, the GeForce GT 555M. M stands for mobile, by the way. I'm gonna reset it. They are my default clocks. Core clock of 590, memory clock of 900. Shader is linked to core clock. You want to there's a link button there. Make sure you don't unlink them because at least on NVIDIA cards it will look different. For ATI cards you won't get the shader clock option. For NVIDIA cards you can do them both themselves, but if you do the math, the shader clock is exactly double the core clock, so you want to keep them exactly double. So keep them linked, and just up the. You see, if you up the core clock, the shader clock goes up with it. You want to keep them exactly the same. The memory clock is on its own. I can tell you now that you're going to gain the best performance from overclocking the core clock. Shadow clock is second best to overclock. You can get a lot of performance out of that, and memory clock thirdly, but it depends on the programs you're using. I'm not going to get into technical details of it. It can be quite complicated, but you will really want to make sure you want to focus on these two, the core clock and shadow clock, or it would be just core clock if you're on an ATR card. So, what you want to do is look up online, just type in something like your card and overclocking results, see what other people are getting, and say people with my card, there's some people on like Alienware laptops, for example, with my card that are reaching like core clocks of 750. My laptop specifically cannot reach that, it crashes. I can only get up to 650. So basically what I'm saying is look up the people are getting and take that back a good 100 megahertz and start from there. So if people are reaching 750 on the core clock, you start on 650. Okay, so yeah. So what you want to do, you want to do one at a time. So you only want to do the core clock as much as you can in increments of 10. So if I start out on 590 megahertz, I'll increase it by just 10. You can use the arrow keys on your keyboard to do it exactly, one notch at a time. So now I've put it up to 600. What you do then, you click apply and save it. Click save and then click on a profile 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Save 1. Okay, so basically if you want to go back to that save, you just click 1, the profile, and it loads it up, and you just click apply. So and it says there profile 1 applied. So anyway, you want to go up in increments of 10, apply that, and open up MSI Combustor. There's a link to it here. You click that, and if you want to configure the settings exactly for Combustor, which I recommend, go into the Combustor program itself. Basically you can see this screen, and what this does is it's going to make your GPU run at 100%, as you can see there, GPU usage 97%, 98%, it should go up to 99% in a minute. And so it's using all your graphics power, so it will reach the maximum temp. Remember, this is how you monitor your maximum temp, as well as the other temperature monitor program I'm going to link you. So you can see the temperature is rising, and what you want to do is run this for like at least 10 minutes to be safe, and make sure the GPU temperature isn't too hot, and the CPU temperature. So use your your temperature monitor program as well. Look up the temperatures, make sure they're not going over the 85 degree mark I told you about. And the main part of this program is actually looking for artifacts. So artifacts are glitches, errors, whatnot. So you want to look out for any strange lines in the picture. You might see some little ziggy zags, lines, black lines, flashes, any dots. That is an indication that you're overclocking too much. So if you see any artifacts, you close it and you bring your increments back. So say like I got a safe overclock of 650, which is true for me, and I go up to 660. Some, theoretically, I've been going up in increments of 10, testing each increment, right? At 660, I start seeing artifacts. I just come back, bring it down. I don't know, 650 is safe, so I can apply that, and that's my maximum overclock for that. And do exactly the same for the memory clock. MSI Combustor is not a good indication of whether your games will run. I don't get any artifacts, even all the way up to 700 megahertz or even 660, which is my max. And the reason I set it to my max is because the games won't run; they'll crash. Not that I get artifacts; they'll crash. So you need to look out for. You need to run games as well. So after a while, after you feel like you've done a good overclock and you want to call it a day, run a game, see if it works. If it doesn't run the game, bring back the clock in 10 increments, 10 megahertz increments. So so you're going to get your max overclock. You want to do that for both core clock and memory clock, as I said, one at a time though. So find your max overclock for the core clock and shader, save that, and then go on to the memory clock. So one at a time. I can tell you I have a safe overclock on my GT555M with this 650 core clock and 1050 memory clock, but that's irrelevant. It's down to your computer specifically, it's the other components and whatnot. You really don't have to worry about overclocking. People make it out to be this very scary thing. I was scared at first, but honestly, as long as you watch the temperatures, that's all that matters. You're not going to break your card. If a computer crashes, just shut down the computer, restart, and it'll be fine. Your card will not be damaged by overclocking. The only thing that will damage it is overheating, and as I said, 85 degrees Celsius or less is absolutely fine. Again though, check AMD CPUs for their maximum temperature, their safe temperature. I'm not too sure about those. I'm speaking on Intel and Nvidia's behalf. But yeah, I hope this tutorial has helped you a lot. That was pretty quick. I think I covered everything. If I didn't, please leave a comment in the description, in the comment box, and I'll touch up on that in the comments section or something. So yeah, all links will be in the description. Thanks.